WBSM presents The Ken Pittman Show. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Now, Ken Pittman.
We're back, and momentarily we'll be speaking with John Sapichetti, my friend and former colleague at Boston Herald Radio, and, you know, just one of the great sports minds in Boston press, one of the best in my opinion. Now, John is a contributor at New England Football Journal. Well, a lot of you know that one well, and New England Sports Journal. He's also the co-host of the Sap and Joe Show at John Sap 25. John Sapichetti is now joining us. Hey, John.
Good morning, Ken. How are you? Sorry I'm a minute or two late. Sometimes I get distracted. I'm just looking at pictures of Justin Herbert with his new fiancée, so I apologize.
Yeah, life is good if you're Justin Herbert, right?
Man, what a summer he's had. Madison Bear. We were talking about that on the show the other day. He's either going to have a great season because confidence is through the roof. And look, those quarterbacks all have a tremendous amount of confidence, or he's going to just be so distracted and happy that he's not going to know what is going on. You know, it doesn't really even matter to him. And I'm waiting for the first team that when they have the ball against the Chargers, remember how Peyton Manning would yell out, Omaha, Omaha, yeah. Omaha. Some quarterbacks can be yelling out, Madison, Madison, Madison.
Well, it's going to be an interesting division down there. It's strangely, let's start out there as John's here to give us a preview of what he sees as the 2026 NFL season. I'm looking at the NFC West, and I think the Chiefs might be a 500 kind of team, maybe slightly over. I think they're in trouble with Denver and Los Angeles on the rise.
I'm going to go back with the Chiefs winning that division. Mahomes will be back for the opener. I think he's got a lot to prove. You know, he's so much like Brady. You know, when you count Brady out, he comes back and has a monster season. I think Mahomes can do the same thing. They've tweaked that defense a little bit. I still have a lot of faith in Andy Reid. And I don't necessarily have a lot of faith in the other teams in the division. Now, Denver did go 14-3 last year. I think I'm going to fall back a bit and maybe win 9 or 10 games. I think the Chargers are really good. They're getting their 2 offensive tackles back this year, Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. That's going to help Justin Herbert a lot. So they'll be in contention as well. And then you have the Raiders, who are always rebuilding, but I think they're heading in the right direction. I think it's going to be a close division. I just think Kansas City, with Mahomes getting some of those players back from injury last year, will just have enough to win. They were 1-9 in one-score games last year. The year before, they were 11-1 in one-score games. So sometimes those things even out. If they're, let's say, 6-4 in those one-score games this year, that'll get them to 10, 11 wins, and that could be enough to win that division. The AFC is loaded, Ken. It really is. I mean, just look at how many great quarterbacks are in the AFC, and several didn't even make the playoffs last year. It is so loaded, especially at that position. Yeah,
in our own division here in New England, you know, we got a guy who may be one of the top 5 quarterbacks for the next 10 years, but he's not alone because you get Allen up in Buffalo. So that it appears that we'll have a 2-team race, but I continue to be impressed with the Jets drafting, although it doesn't always work out, obviously. I think they're putting together a pretty good nucleus.
I'm right with you on that, Ken. I don't think they're going to contend for a playoff spot, but I think they could win 6 or 7 games, finish third in the division. Miami's got one of the weakest rosters in all of football.
Yeah.
The Patriots in Buffalo will battle for the AFC East lead. The Patriots have a better roster than they had a year ago. The only issue is that they may not win 14 games again. That's a tough task to win 14 games in a 17-game season. I think their schedule is infinitely more difficult this year, and I know Patriot fans are going to push back and say, oh, well, that doesn't matter. Well, look, last year you played the NFC South, which each team finished with a losing record. This year you're playing the NFC North, where last year every team had a winning record. Your unique NFC opponent last year was the Giants. This year it's the Seahawks. Your unique opponents in the AFC last year were the Titans, and I believe it was I forget who it was. It was the Titans.
Colts without Jones, right?
Right. Well, you're going to play the AFC North. You played last year. You played Cincinnati without Burrow and without Jamar Chase.
We keep saying that. And not only did they have a weak schedule, but it worked out that the key player on each team they played last year wasn't available to play the Patriots.
Jamar Chase got suspended for that game, and Burrow came back the next game, like 4 days later, against the Ravens. If those two guys play, Cincinnati probably wins that game.
Malik Neighbor, Bo Nix. It just worked out.
It did. And then, like I said, the unique teams last year were the Raiders and Titans. This year it's the Steelers and Jaguars. So, and again, you played Baltimore last year. Lamar Jackson gets hurt in the second quarter, and the love child of Vince Lombardi and Paul Brown, John Harbaugh, decided to bench Derrick Henry with 10 minutes left in the game after the Patriots had no clue how to stop him, and the Ravens had an 11-point lead at that point.
Ponderous.
So you got a lot of breaks last year. You make a lot of your breaks, though. They're still a really good football team, and I think they'll be right there with Buffalo to win the AFC East. And in fact, I'm going to pick them to win the AFC East. Buffalo, I love what they did in the draft. Josh Allen's fantastic, but I think the Patriots just might be a little bit better on the defensive side of the ball than the Buffalo Bills.
I'm glad you said that, because I recognize what an easy schedule it was and what opportunities came to them because of the lack of star players being out on the schedule. Yet I thought I was looking at a good football team anyway.
Oh, without question. I mean, you had a quarterback finish second in MVP voting. Your offensive line played okay the early part of the season. Once Will Campbell and Jared Wilson got hurt, it was not very good. Your skill set guys did a nice job. Stephon Diggs was a key contributor. I think Kayshon Boutte, I hope they keep him and not trade him, because the first half of last year, he was really good. First 8 games last year, Ken, 23 receptions, 431 yards, 19 yards per reception, which is outstanding, and 5 touchdowns. Then he got the hamstring, the concussion, missed 3 games, and was never the same player. Defensively, I think you're really good. Your secondary is as good as any in football.
I mean, the rule is, it should be the rule, John, if you have an Ohio State or LSU wide receiver, you don't trade them.
Right, exactly.
Just hold on to
the LSU guys. My Lord, I mean, Chase Jefferson,
Brian
Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan, and I just think back to 2019. I'm like, Joe Burrow's the quarterback, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are the wide receivers. You're looking at 7 years later, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL and the 2 best receivers in the NFL, all played on the same college team. That's kind of thick.
I feel Joe Burrow is the closest thing the NFL has to Tom Brady.
Without question.
Right?
He's Baby Brady. Yeah, I call him Baby Brady. He's a little more athletic. I mean, he was like Mr. Ohio in basketball as well, and got numerous basketball scholarships from colleges. But yeah, he plays the game the same way. It's with his mind. And again,
the skill set.
The skill set, and we sell those guys short sometimes, because it's like he masters the defense like Brady. Brady had a strong arm. You're not surviving 20-plus years playing in the Northeast for most of it without a strong arm. Burrow has a very strong arm. They're very, very similar. I mean, I think they command the huddle the same way. He's not as demonstrative as Brady. He's kind of like a cool character, whereas Brady would blow up from time to time. That Irish temper would get the best of him. But, he's the closest thing we've seen to Brady since Brady retired.
Well, Brady was a great baseball catcher. And so
exactly.
that quick fire release, that worked for a system that you get rid of the ball quickly.
No, if you had a kid right now in high school and you wanted to show him a quarterback how to play the position, it's Joe Burrow and Tom Brady. I mean, the footwork is impeccable. The pocket presence is impeccable. The release is always the same. Like, the balls are so catchable. In fact, I know for a fact Arch Manning is kind of like following him.
Let me ask you this. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, Arch Manning, that's like his mentor at this point, and that I'm sure the Manning family is pretty good at picking those guys.
Let me ask you, in terms, because I have my three, give me the three teams in the NFL that you think are going to have the most improved records going from 25 to 2026.
I think it's going to be Cincinnati. I mean,
Agreed.
they won 6 games last year. Look, I'm picking them to win the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I'm all in. Yeah, I mean, I just think their defense is going to be so much better. And when he's healthy, and by the way, when they knock him about his health, I mean, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Tua, Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones have all missed more games than him. So, I mean, let's not just say he's the only guy who gets injured. And his injuries are catastrophic. They're not like he showed up 20 pounds overweight. I think Cincinnati's one. I think the Giants are another. I think they can go from, what did they have, 3 last year, 4? I think they can double that. And I would say the third team that I'm really I think the Titans. I mean, the Titans are going to be much improved with Robert Saleh as head coach. They spent a lot of money on free agency in areas they needed to go, and I think Cam Ward's going to make that step up in year 2. So I'd say the Bengals, Titans, and Giants will probably have the biggest improvement. And then one more team, the Minnesota Vikings, who went 9-8 last year, and I think they're going to win the NFC North. Their defense is incredible, and I think Kevin O'Connell will get the most out of Kyler Murray at quarterback.
All right, I'm going to agree with 2 of them, which I've been saying. Cincinnati and the Giants will have the biggest turnarounds in the NFL. But I also thought Detroit was my third team.
True. Oh, yeah. I mean, 9-8 last year. They missed the playoffs.
Best roster in football.
It probably is. I mean, if you go by when they put out like the top 10 at every position, the Lions had like 7 players in that, which is phenomenal. I mean, Penei Sewell's a top offensive player. Jared Goff's a dynamite quarterback. Jamar Gibbs is one of the best running backs, if not. You've got St. Brown at wide receiver. You got Hutchinson as a defensive end, and then you've got the Laporta at tight end. I mean, they have like 7 top 10 players at their positions, which I think is more than any other team in the league. I just worry that Dan Campbell's kind of worn thin on them at some point. I mean, I love him. He's great.
You do.
I mean, how can't you like the guy? But
I don't think he should be playing like he needs trick plays to beat a better team. He's got the roster. He should not be making decisions like that.
Oh, as a coach, I think he still has some questions. As a person, I love the guy. I think he's great for the league. I mean, what a personality. It seems authentic. The players love him. But sometimes coaches like that, they can – look, all coaches at some point overstay their welcome, even someone like Bill Belichick. But I don't know if that's starting to wear thin on him. It's like the 5th year. They looked like they were ready to break through. In 2023, they had a 17-point lead over the Niners in the NFC Championship game. Lost that. The next year, they go 15-2 and then just lay an egg against the Commanders in the divisional round. But that division is so tough, though, Ken. That's the thing. I mean, you're playing really good quarterbacks every week. You're playing top-flight defenses. I mean, that's a really, really tough division, top to bottom. Whoever finishes last in that division may have a winning record. Like I said last year, that was the case with Minnesota and Detroit tying for third at 9-8, and then you had Carolina win the South with an 8-9 record. So that's the difference in those 2 divisions. Those are the divisions the Patriots are dealing with this year, the NFC North last year, the NFC South.
So it's interesting you're telling me that Minnesota Vikings you favor to win the division. That's the only team I don't think is going to win the division, but I'm going to defer to you here because I know that you're a better sports mind than I am, but also I know that you're a Green Bay Packer fan.
I've kind of drifted away from the Packers since Rodgers left.
Okay.
So, my loyalty to sports is that of a cat. I mean, I just go from wherever I need to go. So,
have you bought any 76ers attire, by the way?
Oh, yeah, that's on order. Absolutely, yeah. Number 23 for the 76ers.
Yeah.
He'll win a title, and everybody will complain that he went to a stacked team, although he's the guy that makes the team stacked. I mean, that's kind of the way it works. But, I still like the Green Bay Packers for sure, but they've underachieved the last 3 years.
They have.
I think they have a really good roster, and each of the last 3 years they've qualified the playoffs as the 7th seed. If they hadn't added a playoff team back in 2021, they wouldn't have qualified for 4 straight years. So,
but you think Kyler Murray can keep up with the scoring of Chicago and Detroit?
Just get the ball to Justin Jefferson. That's a good start. And he was misused last year because J.J. McCarthy is horrible. That was a horrible draft pick. I thought that at that time. Not sure why they took him number 10. They actually traded up to get.
And then they parlayed it by getting rid of a 14-3 quarterback who ended up winning the Super Bowl the next year.
Who isn't looking for more money? Sam Darnold is the most self-aware quarterback in the league. He's making $35 million a year, and you don't hear anything out of him. He's self-aware enough to know that, look, I'm on a really good team. I just won a Super Bowl. I can get endorsements. And what the hell's wrong with $35 million a year? Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, is like, all pissed off that he's not being offered the same contract that, the top guys are being offered. In fact, Tampa did offer him a 2-year, $100 million contract, and he was insulted by it. I should be so insulted.
I do think he's going to have a big year, but I agree with you. I think, for the betterment of the team, it's plenty of money. I mean, unless you're an idiot, you're not going to blow all that money.
No, and he seems like he's got plenty of endorsement money, right? I mean, so he's all set. And again, I get it. These guys have massive egos. It's about competition. So this is what we're seeing with the cornerbacks, right? I mean, Christian Gonzalez, when he signs, will be the highest paid cornerback in football. And then someone else will come along. Patrick Surtain will get his next contract, and he'll surpass Christian Gonzalez. Didn't Red Auerbach always pay Bill Russell $1 more than Will Chamberlain just to show that
I didn't know that.
His guy?
I didn't know that. I mean, that's funny.
Sounds like something Red Auerbach would do, right? Just to needle Will Chamberlain and say, my guy's better. Here's $1 more. So we're seeing that in sports still. So that's going to happen there. So I get it. Baker's a competitive guy, always has a chip on his shoulder. And right now, 13 quarterbacks make $50 million or more per year AAV. And according to Mike Sando, Baker Mayfield is the 14th quarterback in the NFL. So he's just on the outside looking in. But he'll get his deal. It's just he went about it the wrong way, I think. I think the way Christian Gonzalez is handling it is the right way.
I was a little taken back by your indifference to the Broncos roster. They've added Waddle. With Sutton and Waddle out there, Bo Nix, another year experience. I'm looking at a pretty good Broncos team. I know that last year they got a lot of disrespect, but you have them. You have the Chiefs winning and the Chargers in second. I take it.
Right. Yep. And then I go with the Broncos in third. Here's the thing. My least favorite coach in the NFL is Sean Payton. So maybe I'm being personal here. I just think he's a massive a-hole.
Well, there's a guy who rolls the dice. But let's take a commercial break, John. Can you hang in for a few?
Sure.
All right. We'll be right back with John Sapichetti.
We are New Bedford's news talk station. WBSM.
Big color, bigger savings. Sherwin-Williams Super Sale is here. Get 40% off paints and stains August 7th through the 13th with prices starting at $30.89. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
This is New Bedford's news talk station, WBSM.
All right. John Sapichetti differed with me on one of the three most improved teams that are expected to perform better than last year. I had the Detroit Lions. He has Tennessee. Tennessee has a terrific advantage over the rest of the league in that their general manager is my cousin, Mike Borgonzi, from Everett, Mass.
Ah, that's fantastic.
But I think that division's tough. Daniel Jones is back. The Houston Texans are good. The Jaguars are good. I don't know if it's going to reflect on the record. I think they'll play better.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fantastic because Borgonzi, like you said, is an Everett native, and he was rumored to be going to a lot of different teams when he was ready to be general manager. He's going to do a fantastic job there. I think they hired the right coach, and Robert Saleh, I think his second time around will be better without all the Jets in New York thing going on. I think he can just go down there and coach.
I thought he brought credibility. I don't know why the Jets got rid of him, to be honest.
He was 7-10 with Zach Wilson.
I know.
All right, so I mean, not bad. I just like the guy. He seems like a pretty cool guy to hang out with.
Agreed.
Saleh, like he's got this personality. I think he'd be a blast to hang out with.
I'm a fan.
Not Sean Payton. I wouldn't want to be hanging out with Sean Payton.
You got to think. What did he do? Does he owe you money? What's going on?
No. If he owed me money, he'd be in real trouble. No, just it's so smug. I think the year after the Falcons lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots in 2017, they were playing the Falcons. The Saints were, and Matt Ryan, scrambled, ran out of bounds, and I think he got in a jar of words telling him, "Hey, how did it feel to blow a 28-3 lead?" And he's just an a-hole. I don't know. But I also think that team's going to take a step back. Jacksonville's another team I think is going to take a step back because the Bears and the Jaguars both improved greatly last year, winning their divisions. But they did it with a massive turnover advantage, and that doesn't happen year to year.
You can't depend on that,
right? Go back a little bit. So I could see Jacksonville 9-8. I actually have the Titans finishing second. That's my surprise pick.
Wow.
For second, yeah. I
hope
they
you're
did
right.
a lot in free agency, and I like the quarterback. And they've been drafting receivers. They got a
Carnell
new stadium.
Tate.
Yeah. No, they're. I think there's always look. 36 straight years, Ken. 4 new teams make the playoffs. Like, that's incredible. What an incredible run. That shows why the sport's so popular. You kind of always feel like you have.
I need to see more out of the quarterback, John, before I'm a believer, though.
Yeah. Look, I don't think he's Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, May, Stafford. No. He probably won't even ever get to that level. I don't think his skill set's that great, but he's a really good quarterback. I think you can win with him. But, so we'll root for the Titans as well since your paisan is the general manager. How are you cousins with Borgonzi?
Questionable means. No, my grandmother and his grandmother are sisters.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and his brother Dave is back with the Cowboys, linebacker coach. He was with Chicago last year.
Now, are you telling me you're some Italian?
No. My cousin married into an Italian family.
Okay, I got you.
But I grew up in Brockton, so I'm pretty much Italian.
Yeah, we've adopted you. We adopt all. I mean, Tom Shattuck, more than anyone, going out to eat tripe, is the leader of the adopted Italians. The funniest thing was when they were thinking of hiring him as the Jets general manager, Joe Benigno on WFAN does a Saturday morning show that the way he would say his name was priceless. Borgonzi. He has that deep New York, New Jersey accent.
Shattuck has the most wasp Yankee name I've ever heard. In the last 200 years.
Shattuck.
It sounds like a British officer in the Revolutionary War.
Well, I think his family came over on the Nina, the Pinta, or the Santa Maria, or something. I mean, and Tom is, Tom's awesome. I mean, I wouldn't have met you without Tom Shattuck.
Love Tom.
We've all got to get together at some point. A few
Agreed.
of us break bread and watch Tom Shattuck.
He's a lot of fun.
3 pounds of grated cheese on his tripe.
Yeah, I bet. So, all right. So we got some surprises. You get the Bengals winning the Super Bowl. You have the Titans as a playoff contender.
I don't have them as a playoff team. No, I have them just outside the playoffs. I have Buffalo, New England, Cincinnati, Houston, and then the 3 teams in the AFC West. I do have Denver still making the playoffs. I think their defense is so good. So I have Kansas City, the Chargers, and Denver. Those are my 7 playoff teams.
That's a hard list to top. I agree with every one of those picks to get to the playoffs. I do.
But the quarterbacks in this league are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Kansas City didn't make the playoffs because their quarterbacks were either down with injury or a little bit off. Those 3 teams are going to contend as long as those quarterbacks are upright. So there's 3 more teams that you have to factor in with all the teams that made it last year. So the AFC is loaded with quarterbacks. I was just even doing this exercise the other day. Do you realize 14 of the 16 eventual starting quarterbacks in the AFC are all first-round picks? Not first overall, but first-round picks. So that's pretty impressive. I think Geno Smith and Cedric Willis are the only 2, and Kirk Cousins, but we do know that Fernando Mendoza is going to take over at some point.
I'm going to say this. If Patrick Mahomes wins that division, I think this will be his best year ever because I really think it's uphill. They've got a terrible secondary. You're going to have to rest Chris Jones a lot more than you did. I'm just having trouble seeing them do it, but it is Mahomes.
It is. And he's kind of reached the same stage as Brady. If you look at Mahomes' stats the last 3 years, 23, 24, 25. Look, he won a Super Bowl, went to another one. But in the regular season, 75 touchdown passes, 35 interceptions, 91 passer rating. You know who has very similar stats over a 3-year period? Aaron Rodgers. Those are essentially Aaron Rodgers' stats his last 3 healthy seasons. Mahomes has been pretty much an above-average quarterback the last 3 years, but he can step it up. Brady, if you remember, in 2012, 2013, and a lot of 2014, looked like he was headed to retirement shortly. Yeah. That's why Belichick drafted Garoppolo. Belichick wasn't wrong in a sense to doing it. It's just that it was like Roger Clemens. The Red Sox decided we have to get rid of Roger Clemens. He's like 37-40 the last 4 years. He's showing up a little out of shape, which was never something Roger Clemens did. So you move on from him. So, Brady all of a sudden sees Garoppolo, a better looking dude than him, by the way. And he immediately gets, a fire lit under him even more. And his third act was maybe better than his first or second act. So I think Mahomes is that type of player, that type of leader.
But he needs his legs a little more than Brady did.
He what?
He needs his legs at this age more than Brady did, which might be
the problem. That's my concern with Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Mahomes. That's why I think in about 2 to 3 years, it'll be Burrow and May as the two best quarterbacks in football. I think that they'll be the two guys that, could develop a rivalry because they can win from the pocket. May does run, but they can win from the pocket. Yeah, I think Mahomes needs his legs. I just want to see what he shows up like in camp. I mean, he doesn't seem like a guy that spends a lot of time in the offseason, doing lap band exercises like Brady did. But I think he will this year, knowing he's coming back from that injury. And look, he's a great player.
There's no pressure on him. There's really no pressure on him. He's an established superstar. He's got the rings. Whereas Lamar Jackson and Allen, they've got to start feeling the pressure. The clock is ticking.
Ken, they're the two best quarterbacks to have never participated in a Super Bowl. Like, I don't even think you could throw in Warren Moon, Dan Fouts, Phillip Rivers. These two guys are winning MVPs. Like, there was a stretch where it was either one of those guys winning the MVP, and neither one's even appeared in a Super Bowl. I mean, Lamar Jackson's played in one AFC championship game in his career. Josh Allen's played in 2 AFC championship games in his career. They can't get by Mahomes. So, they're the ones that have a ton of pressure on them. I think Burrow has a ton of pressure on him. The organization did what he wanted them to do. They spent money on defense. The offensive line looks okay, so he has a lot of pressure. Justin Herbert, get to the playoffs. Can you win a playoff game? Can you not be horrible in the playoff game? But you know what? At the end of the day, Madison Beer is there for him, so he's already won. I
actually felt bad for him. I'm not even kidding. I felt bad for Justin Herbert during that Patriots game. I thought he was getting tortured back there.
He had his 2 tackles were out most, if not all, of the season. I don't know what the game plan was that day. Now, Mike McDaniel's the offensive coordinator. Would you not pay a lot of money to sit in a meeting room with Mike McDaniel and Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the craziest, duo ever. That's going to be, oh my God, that's going to be gold.
They're going to be the most unrecognizable team, right? Because they're going to have a dependable offensive line, not this sieve.
Yes. Yep. And it's set up. I mean, their skill set is good, not great. Their defense is good. They're well coached with Harbaugh, although I think even though he's gotten to the playoffs the last 2 years, when he's been in the playoffs, he's just looked kind of out of sorts. But, they're kind of that trendy pick, too, to maybe go to the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, of course, Buffalo's the favorite to go to the Super Bowl. But I like Cincinnati at 20-1 to win the Super Bowl, at 10-1 to go to the Super Bowl. And I'm really high on the Vikings. I mean, it's easy to pick the Rams, right? They're like the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And especially if Aaron Donald come back, that's going to be
McDuffie. Oh God.
Oh yeah, Trey McDuffie they added. Their offense is awesome. But again, you've got a 39-year-old quarterback who was in traction before last year. So we'll see what happens there. And they play such horrible situational football. They should have won everything last year. They lost 3 games last year because of special teams.
Yep.
A regular season loss to the Eagles, a regular season loss to the Seahawks, which cost them home field advantage. And in the NFC Championship game, a muff punt led to a Seattle touchdown. They don't do that, they probably win that game. And I don't think the Patriots would really stand a chance against them in the Super Bowl. I mean, they were the best team last year, but that doesn't mean anything. You got to still win the games. And they just play terrible situational football, which I'm surprised because I think Sean McVay is one of the very, very best coaches in the sport.
You're listening to John Sapichetti, contributor at New England Football Journal and New England Sports Journal, also the co-host of the Sap and Joe Show. And how do folks get to that show?
Basically on Twitter at Sap and Joe. Also, my Twitter handle at JohnSap25 and at Joe's handle. And he's doing a lot of great work with social media. He had a video of a 8-year-old picking off Drake May at a camp. that went viral, like 2.5 million views.
Really?
And it's _ Joseph Manning. Joe's 18. I met him at Market Basket. He was working at Market Basket in high school. I got into a conversation with him. He wants to get into the business. I mean, this kid is fantastic. He's 18, so mature, like, has multiple jobs, is going to college, paying his way to college, just goes to church every week. Yeah, just an impressive kid and loves movies, so we talk a lot about that. So I like the dynamic of an 18 and a 63-year-old, especially when the 63-year-old sometimes acts 14. So it's a good dynamic.
It's almost like he paid to have intel on you to know how to appeal to you before he was packing your groceries.
I know, yeah. This guy likes movies. This guy likes this. This guy likes that. Well, my nephew does that too. Just goes along with whatever I say because he doesn't all spoil him. But, I have a blast with him because it's like I'm learning stuff. He's learning stuff, and he's really good. And he works hard, and I think he's got a bright future.
Real quick about movies, I was looking forward to this movie for the first time in a long time, Lucky Strike with Clint Eastwood and Tom Hanks' sons. And I was very disappointed.
Well, what's Clint, 96?
No, but his son Scott's the star.
Oh, it's okay, Scott Eastwood.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the sons aren't quite what the fathers were or are.
Marvis Frazier come to mind.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Wow.
Barry Bonds. Yeah, they were. I mean, their dads were great players. But they were otherworldly. But did you see the Odyssey at all?
I haven't seen it yet. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, either Spider-Man's a big hit, obviously, but I still go in the Wayback Machine. That's why the dynamic is good between Joe and I, because I'll point out like 4 or 5 classics that I think you should see. They don't all come from like 1947. I mean, a classic to me can be from the 80s. I
was going to reference something. The Chargers offensive line played like the same line that let the defenders in to get the sports that the team owner in Heaven Can Wait. That's how I couldn't remember the owner of the team name that what's his name? Warren Beatty was occupying his body at the time. I couldn't remember, so it wouldn't have worked. But anyway, I don't think we'll see that again.
Great movie.
It sure was.
Was it fun? Yeah.
So NFC, when you look at the East, I think it's wide open. I really do.
I originally liked the Giants. I was going to make the total leap on the Giants that they could be this year's Patriots. New head coach who's established, second-year quarterback makes that leap. Malik Neighbors should be back. That gives you an outstanding wide receiver. They address the defense. I'm going with the Cowboys. I think they really address their defense, and their offense is lethal. I go Cowboys, Giants. I'm going to go Eagles third. The Eagles could clearly win that division. They still have a ton of talent. I just think that's another team, kind of like Detroit, that maybe the coach has overstayed his welcome.
You wonder which Saquon Barkley is going to show up.
Right. I mean, running backs don't age well. Jalen Hurts now is ranked 17th by Mike Sando as a quarterback, which seems preposterous considering he's outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls. And then I have the Commanders fourth. But that's a strong division. You're right. You just look at the quarterbacks in that division. You got Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, James Daniels, and look, President Trump's favorite quarterback, Jackson Dart, for the Giants. So that's a good division for quarterbacks. And look, the NFL, and this sounds like an old man saying this, the NFL is always better when the NFC East is good. Because growing up, that was, Summerall, Madden, Giants against the Eagles, the Cowboys against the then Redskins. Those games were incredible. They're 4 of the top 8 markets in the country. So when they're good, the networks appreciate that.
The North, you have Minnesota. You're not expecting Detroit to come back to their gaudy record status, really?
They'll be up there. I have Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago last.
Wow.
Again, they won. Look, Caleb Williams is really good. They pulled out more games out of their to get to that point.
Yeah.
And the regular season and playoffs, the Green Bay Packers, quite frankly, just gagged against them. So I've got Minnesota winning that division. The South, which is generally considered the worst division in football. I mean, heck, Carolina won it last year at 8-9. I like Atlanta. I think the coaching change is going to help them, but I'm not a big Penix or Tua fan.
They're quietly sack machines, the Falcons.
They have their defense. I remember last year their defense against the Bills was tremendous.
Yeah.
They beat the Bills on, I believe it was a Thursday night, and they had Josh Allen flying all over the place. I like them.
They still have the singing frog of tight ends, though. They got to see more out of him.
Yeah. He had his best year last year, and I think Stefanski, being the head coach there, is going to do some nice things for the Falcons. And then after that, I Tampa, New Orleans, Carolina. I mean, New Orleans is interesting. I thought Kellen Moore should have received more Coach of the Year votes last year, even though they won 7 games. I mean, that looked like the worst roster in football, and they were a pain in the butt to play every week.
They were competent.
Even the Patriots. Yeah, the week 5 of last year, the Patriots were, tooth and nail with the Saints.
Yep.
So I think they're going to be competitive again. And then out west, Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, and Cardinals. The poor Cardinals. I mean, they get to play 3 of the best teams in football twice, and they've got Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, unless Carson Beck duplicates what he did the other night in the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, and they're calling for Carson Beck to be the starter now. He's probably the first one to say, "Hey, shut up." Who wants?
Right? I like this backup gimmick for a little while.
Because I think Myles Garrett is going to break his own record.
Oh man, I mean, can you imagine the sacks Myles Garrett's amassed in Cleveland when his team is generally down? Like, now he's going to be playing on a team that's generally going to be up on the scoreboard. More opportunities for him to get sacks, and then if Aaron Donald comes back,
you have to pass for 60 minutes if you're playing the Rams. You're right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think he's going to shatter his own record this year.
Oh, look, the guy's an all-time great. He's now. When people who are much younger than us say, imagine Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett on the same defensive line, you'll never see that again. I said, we already saw it. His name was Reggie White.
Yeah.
Reggie White was the 2 of those guys combined.
Right.
Like if Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett had a love child, it would be Reggie White. Reggie White's the greatest defensive lineman I've ever seen. And I make a case the greatest defensive player ever. I know Lawrence Taylor gets that love the most, and he was phenomenal. But Reggie White was so destructive.
I mean, think what his numbers would be if he wasn't in the USFL for a little bit.
Right. Oh, yeah. And again, when he was playing, it was more 50-50 run pass. I mean, imagine him just lining up at the edge. Or look, the guy could come up the middle as well. That's what I mean. He was as big and strong, maybe stronger than Aaron Donald, and he was as agile as Myles Garrett. That guy is one of the 5-6 greatest players, forget position, in the history of the sport.
I think the most forgotten team in terms of contention, probably, because they were so hurt last year, I think the 49ers.
They got to 12-5 with, decimated injuries, right? I mean, on both sides of the ball. In fact, I think in early December, you could have made the case they were the best team in football, and then they just got hit on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
injuries. Kittle, Trent Williams, who's another all-time great, was banged up, and McCaffrey had an incredible workload. And I'm not that sold on Brock Purdy. I think he's good. I think he has to be in the right system with
Doug
the right
Flutie
talent around him,
5.0.
which he is. A little bit, a little bit taller, but he's a guy who he's limited in a sense, but he's good.
Scrapper.
And I keep talking about Mike Sando's quarterback rankings. I mean, what Mike Sandos does for the Athletic is he polls 21 executives and 29 coaches in the league. So it's not him sitting on his couch, putting out rankings. They had Purdy at number 11, which I'd have him a little lower than that.
Me too.
Jalen Hurts is a 17, so maybe you could flip those guys. But the 49ers, that division is loaded. But before they got absolutely decimated on the offensive side of the ball, they looked like the best team in football last year. And that was over the weekend defense. So they'll be there. The Rams, the Seahawks are one of the most disrespected defending Super Bowl champs I can remember. It's like they've already ceded the division to the Rams, and the Seahawks won it last year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be settled till week 16, 17 myself.
I think they play each other real late in the season a couple of times, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's what you want.
That's what happened last year. It was a Thursday night game that the Rams had a 16-point lead with 9 minutes left, and next thing you know, Seattle returned a punt for a touchdown, 2-point conversion, scored another touchdown, controversial 2-point conversion, and then they won it in overtime. After the Rams scored, kicked the extra point, the Seahawks went down and scored a touchdown and said, hey, let's go for 2. And that gave them home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and they were able to eke out the NFC Championship game against the Rams. And when people push back against Sam Darnold, I go, watch the NFC Championship game. He's the reason the Seahawks won that game. He was fantastic.
True. He had a better game against the Rams than he did against the Patriots, but
sure did.
The game. This game was different. But we know that you chose, and I think people that know the roster wouldn't be all that surprised. But you chose Cincinnati to represent the AFC. Who's your NFC representative in the Super Bowl?
It's going to be the Rams. I mean, and it's going to be a repeat of the Super Bowl 5 years ago. And it's going to be played at SoFi just like it was 5 years ago. So Bengals are going to have to try to win their first Super Bowl playing on the other team's home field, and I think they can get it done this time. They have a much better offensive line than it did back in 2001. I hope Chris Stapleton sings the national anthem, and I hope Dua Lipa performs at halftime. It'll be a perfect day.
I'll tell you what, I'm taking the over if that's the case.
Yeah, oh yeah, in a dome, sure, yeah. With
God, Stafford against Burrow.
Sacks for the Rams, yeah, but yeah, I think you'd see a lot of points. It was 23-20 5 years ago.
Add
so
10 to each.
More points. Yeah, you could see two teams in the 30s just lighten it up, and then just hopefully you protect Burrow from Darnold. And
I think he's uniquely equipped to get rid of the ball like Brady and maybe neutralize some of that pass rush, that great pass rush they'll have.
That's what he's really good at, and that's what you have to do against those guys. My best friend in football, Sean Payton, says quarterback sacks are a quarterback's stat. He blames the quarterback for the sacks, which I don't know if you can do that with every sack, because there are certain times when the guy has no chance. I'm
just not sold on the running back at Cincinnati. I thought they could have done it.
I like him. I like him. I think he's a versatile back.
Okay.
They're using him a lot more wide receiver, too, like actually lining up like Marshall Faulk used to do, and he's a pretty good receiver. Look, they're a pass-first team, but hopefully they run enough to take some pressure off the passing game. My major problem with them is he does not like going under center. He likes being in the gun. It could be partly because he's had injuries that you don't want to be under the gun with. I mean, the wrist, maybe he doesn't want to take a direct snap. Now you're talking about the knee and the toe. That could be exposed when you're under center if a guard gets out too quickly and tramples you. I don't know. I'm reading too much into this, as I often do, but I would like to see them under center a little bit more, opens up the offense. But look, if the quarterback doesn't want to be under center, then, let him be in the shotgun.
I think, it's funny you say that, because Brady, we keep making the comparisons, but when Brady was taking more shotgun formations than behind center, they didn't do as well, and then they started going under center again, and they started winning again.
Oh, I still think you can be – the thing is, you can't be an offense, and this is what happens, is when you're under center, you're definitely running, and when you're in the gun, you're definitely passing. It makes it a lot easier for the defense. It's a tell, right? So if you're in the gun and you pass 95% of the time, I'm a defensive lineman. I'm just rearing back and going at it.
Track meet.
It's great that if you could pass out of being under center and with play action, which I think Brady was the best I've ever seen at that, among many other things he was the best at. Also, when you're in the gun, you can run. But I don't think running backs are crazy about running out of the gun because the momentum isn't there, the way they do it while they're under center.
I think Seattle made a mistake grabbing the second best running back on Notre Dame, with the last pick in the first round. I thought the kid that went to the Chiefs was going to be behind Kenneth Walker. Was he from Nebraska or Washington? I forget. I love two of those running backs. They were,
yeah. But I think they overreached for the running back out of Notre Dame. I mean, look, Love is tremendous.
Special.
I was hoping some really good team would get him, like trade up to get him, and man, watch your offense really explode. But Seattle lost Kenneth Walker. Charbonneau is still out. So we'll see what they do with the running game. You want to take some pressure off of Sam Darnold. Let him still do his job. Sam Darnold's, by the way, 31-7 the last 2 years and put up tremendous stats. So I don't know what the hate is. He is prone to throwing some of the most ridiculous interceptions you'll ever see. I get it. But he's a good quarterback.
I think he's figured it out.
A winning quarterback.
Yeah, he's figured it out. There were a couple of running backs that I thought they should have gone before Jadarian Price. One was from the University of Washington, one from Nebraska. And the Chiefs, I think, got two good running backs because they get Walker and they get the running back that I thought that Seattle should have grabbed. But other than that...
That's where they're going to try to take some... Look, you can line up Mahomes, have him throw 50 times. That's all well and good. But you need to have that running game, especially in that offense. It gives him so many more options. We'll see what Travis Kelce does this year. It should be his last year. They've had a great run. I mean, they went to 5 Super Bowls in 6 years. That's incredible. And they won 3 of them. But, they're going to have to run the ball a little bit more effectively this year. And play that type of game. And still, you have Patrick Mahomes. You can do a lot of great things with him.
Pat's going to be a little bit more physical this year. They brought in a fullback. I like this. It's a second tight end we have, Raritan. It's going to be.
He's good.
Yeah. No, and I watched his stats. He didn't have any touchdowns for Notre Dame last year because Love was getting them all, but he did average 15 yards of reception, which for a tight end is remarkable.
I think it was a really good choice. I like their draft picks. Caleb Lomu may not contribute much this year. He'll be a depth piece. Although if you line up with 6 offensive linemen, he'll be your guy. Don't even be surprised if he lines up as a 6th offensive lineman and goes out to catch passes. I mean, I can see them throwing to him in the goal line.
Got 2 great guards now.
Yeah, your guards are all set. Elijah Vera-Tucker is going to make life a lot easier for Will Campbell. And Will Campbell was progressing nicely till he injured his knee in Cincinnati before Thanksgiving, and then he came back when he probably shouldn't have, but they were in the middle of a playoff rush. And then he played for the top 6 defenses as football in the playoffs with all elite pass rushers.
Nightmare schedule for him personally, right?
Oh, man. Every week it was,
But it's my understanding it's what's really pushed him this offseason.
He's going to get bigger, stronger. That's the reports out of camp. He's only 22.
Yeah.
So now you're in the system for a year, the weight program, nutrition, all of that great stuff.
He flew around the country with some of the best offensive linemen and their trainers. I mean, he really worked.
Yep. They have a brotherhood, too. All these positions have brotherhoods. Like the receivers all love each other, and the cornerbacks love each other, and the linemen hang out together. And he's going to have a good year. He's going to be a good, solid tackle. If he's Matt Light for the next 8 years, you'll take it.
John, we're going to take off here, but I want to thank you for coming on. John is a contributor at the New England Journal, the New England Football Journal, and the New England Sports Journal, co-host of the Sap and Joe Show on X. I want to thank you so much for your time here this morning, John.
Anytime, Ken. You have a great day.
You're the man. All right, thanks, John Sapichetti. We'll be back, and we'll have a couple of minutes before we go off to the newsroom, and then when we return, we'll have the 2 Democratic candidates for the 9th Bristol House seat.
Surprise. Wait, do I know you? You use your Discover Cashback card to earn 5% cashback on restaurants all quarter.
Yeah.
Now, it's payback time.
Whoa, hold on.
Go ahead.
Oh, you mean my Discover Cashback.
I told you there'd be payback.
You have a weird way of delivering good news.
I'm working on that.
Activate and earn 5% cash back at different categories each quarter on up to $1,500 in purchases.
Terms apply. See discover.com/5 for details.
1420 AM and 99.5 FM. WBSM.
All right, so Ryan, you listen to John Sapichetti, and you have a couple of different opinions. Who's going to surprise people in the NFL, though?
I think Ken, I'm going with John on the Kansas City thing.
Really?
I think having Mahomes back, because you didn't have Mahomes.
They weren't winning with him when he was there last year.
Yeah, that team was horrible last year, Ken.
Where'd they get better? Maybe the running game.
Yeah, you got Kenneth Walker from Seattle. That proves that you need a running back there.
And they invested early in a running back in the draft as well. So
yeah, and then Kelsey's a year older. You still got those two, good wide receivers there.
Yeah, I Chris Jones is also older. You're gonna have to rest Chris Jones more than you did last year. They rested him quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't think.
And you get the rise of the Chargers, the rise of the Broncos. I don't see them winning the division unless, Mahomes has shut me up many times, and this could be just another one. But I think he's going to have his best personal year.
Yeah, I think the Las Vegas Raiders have improved with Mendoza, but Cousins is going to be the starter week 1.
Brian's wearing a Cleveland Browns hat, a team that nobody is talking about. And if Watson. You think it's going to be Watson, or do you think it's going to be Sanders? I
think it's going to be Sanders.
The team, Judy kind of tipped his hand. He wants it to be Watson. There's no evidence Watson can still play.
It's been out a long time.
Yeah.
So I think, we'll find out. I should give props to Gilly.
Why?
He heard us talking about the Browns, and he saw me at a meeting, and he gave me the hat.
The Cleveland Browns hat?
Yeah.
That's Gilly? All right, Gilly's responsible for that. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll hold him accountable.
I don't think the Browns are going to win the AFC North.
I can't imagine.
But they might surprise somebody.
I think Pittsburgh might quietly surprise people again. You know,
I don't know. Did you think that was quiet? The way they played?
Yeah, I didn't
really?
I didn't think they were going to be. I thought it was Baltimore and Cincinnati last year.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh made the playoffs. They stayed healthy. And now they'll have a more balanced.
They won the division, didn't they?
They won the division. Yeah.
8-8 or something like that.
Didn't even see it coming.
9-8, I guess.
You know, Aaron Rodgers, I thought, over the hill. You know, he was going to be competent, but not, you know, a playoff kind of guy.
I think their defense is what does it in
absolutely.
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now they've added Michael Pittman, so they'll have a more balanced attack, right? Because they'll have Metcalf and Pittman on the outside. They have a good running game, good defense. They could do it the old-fashioned AFC North way for sure.
I don't know. New coach.
Yeah. And a guy who's terrible clock
outside
manager.
the system, too.
McCarthy.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason I think Aaron Rodgers returned.
Yeah, probably.
All right, we'll be back with our Democratic candidates for the Bristol Nines right after this news break. You're listening to Ken Pittman on WBSM.
WBSM and W258DR, New Bedford, a town square media station.
Surprise.
Wait, do I know you?
You use your Discover cashback card to earn 5% cashback on restaurants all quarter.
Yeah.
Now, it's payback time.
Whoa, hold on.
Go ahead.
Oh, you mean my Discover cashback.
I told you there'd be payback.
You know, you have a weird way of delivering good news.
I'm working on that.
Activate and earn 5% cash back at different categories each quarter on up to $1,500 in purchases.
Terms apply. See discover.com/5 for details.